This is Duke University.
All right, everybody, I think we're going to get started. So who's ready to hear some pitches tonight? It's kind of energy I want to feel. It's good. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Stephen Powell. I'm one of the co-presidents of the Duke Startup Challenge. I'm excited to see so many people here tonight. This is, in many ways, a dry run of the elevator pitch competition for you as participants. It's also a dry run for us as organizers. We're going to be testing out our judging process tonight. We're going to be testing out a couple other little tricks in terms of audience voting that you'll see a little bit later. But before we do that, I wanted to first just thank our sponsors that make this possible. I'll just quickly go through this. I don't want to spend a lot of time describing them, but Hutchinson Law Group is a local law firm that's been supporting us for several years. Intersouth Partners is a well-known venture capital firm in the Southeast. iContact has been helping us with email marketing. Intuit has generously donated several copies of QuickBooks Pro that we're going to be giving away at the elevator pitch competition in 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. There's Business Plan Pro. Wyrick Robbins is also a law firm in the area that's been supporting us for quite a long time. HPG is an accounting firm, and Square One Bank is a venture financing venture bank that's based here in Durham. So thank you to all our sponsors for making the series of Duke Entrepreneurship Series events possible, and also making the Duke Startup Challenge possible. So in terms of the Entrepreneurship Education Series, so I'm assuming most of you guys are familiar with it, but it's a weekly education series that we have here at Duke. It covers a kind of wide array of topics, and it's the order of topics is meant to coincide with the Duke Startup Challenge competition that we have, the schedule of events that we have. So for instance, we've gone through several sort of Entrepreneurship 101, Venture Capital 101. What we're doing tonight, this elevator pitch practice run, it's in anticipation of the elevator pitch competition in a couple weeks. It says elevator pitches 101. That's kind of what we're doing tonight. Coming up next week, just so you guys know, it'll be normally there's only one event a week. Next week is a special double header. You guys will get Venture Capital 102 and Financing 101. So those are both good topics for you all to attend. I'd encourage you to come to those. So in terms of the Duke Startup Challenge, this is obviously in preparation for the elevator pitch competition, as I said, which is coming up November 16th to the 20th. Following that, whether you compete in that or not, you can compete in the Executive Summary Contest, which is coming up in January. And then following that, there's obviously the finals. So to qualify for the finals, you have to submit an executive summary, and that'll be happening in January. And then there's several tracks to compete in. Now, what I wanted to spend some time on was actually, we're talking about the elevator pitch competition tonight and kind of honing your pitches for that. But I wanted to clarify actually just the sort of rules and participation guidelines for that competition, just give you a sense for what it's going to feel like. So in previous years, what we've done is the competition has been a one-day thing where we've had several tracks that people compete in, and then they immediately go to the finals if you win your track. We're stretching that out this year for an entire week. It's during Global Entrepreneurship Week. And basically the way it's going to work is each track of the competition has a separate, you can call it like a semifinals event. And so for instance, on Monday, November 16th, in Von Cannon, we'll have the undergraduate track will be competing there. And so basically the winners from that track will move on to compete in the finals on Friday. And each night we'll have different events happening around campus. So to compete in the undergraduate track, obviously you need to the team needs to be led by an undergraduate. and the pitch needs to be delivered by an undergraduate. On Tuesday, November 17th, we'll be in the CMIS Shishiano Auditorium. Exactly. And the Healthcare and Life Sciences track and the Energy and Environments tracks will be those nights. Wednesday, November 18th, will be the Women Entrepreneurs track and IT Media track. Those will be here at Fuqua. Thursday, November 19th, will also be here at Fuqua, and that's the Social Enterprise track, Products and Services track. And then on that Friday, all of the winners of those tracks will be competing. Now, in terms of the winners, basically each track will have a Judge's Choice Award and a Audience Choice Award. So Judge's Choice is basically, you'll have a panel of 3 or 4 judges. They'll be asking you questions during your pitch after you do your 2-minute pitch. They'll score that, and then based on those scores, we'll decide on the Judge's Choice. In addition to that, each track will have an Audience Choice Award. And you'll see how that works a little bit later, but basically the audience in the room will vote via text messaging, and whoever gets the most text messages also wins and advances to the finals as well. And then in cases of ties, in cases where the judge's choice happens to be the audience choice as well, the second place judge's choice will move on to the finals competition on Friday. So hopefully that kind of clarifies how to advance and stuff. So in terms of which tracks you're eligible for, I talked about undergraduate. The team has to be led and pitched by an undergraduate. Same goes for the women's track. Those are the 2 special interest tracks. In addition to those, you can compete in 1 functional track. So those are the IT and Media, Energy and Environment, Healthcare and Life Sciences, and Social Enterprises and Products and Services. So you can compete in 1 of those, and you compete in 1 or both of these special interest tracks. So as an example, we'll just say, let's say we have a undergraduate woman-led team. That team can compete in 3 different tracks, right? They can compete in, let's say, Products and Services, undergraduate, and women. Okay? Does that make sense? Question?
How many people do you need in the team?
Team just needs to be 1 person, but it can be up to as many as you want. We have a maximum on the number of people that can pitch. That's 2 people, but you can have as many people on your team as you want. Okay. And we'll be doing a conference call in, I think, about a week, just clarifying how the competition works and answering any additional kind of participation questions that you have. So I'd encourage you to. Do you have another question?
What do you get if you win?
What do you get if you win? Okay, so so prizes. So we have both cash prizes and, as I said, QuickBooks Pro is being given away. So both judges and audience choice from each track win. So judge's choice gets $150, audience choice gets $100, and then the overall winner at the finals event gets $750, and the audience choice at the finals event gets $250. And if you've won any track, whether you're audience or judge's choice, you get a free copy of QuickBooks Pro, which is worth $200. So I think if you do the math on it, you can win up to like $2,000 or $3,000. I don't know. I didn't. If you really factor in the QuickBooks Pro at $200 value. So, anyways, hopefully that gives you guys a sense of the competition. I think what you'll see in this event tonight is you'll get a feel for what the event is really going to be like. Because what we're going to do is Dan Weinstein is going to explain it in more detail. But we're going to do 2-minute pitches, just like in the competition. And we'll do something slightly different in terms of judging. But you'll see a 3-minute sort of feedback Q&A process, although I think we're going to focus on just feedback tonight so you guys just can help hone your pitches for the event. Okay? So with that said, I'm going to hand it over to Dan Weinstein. He's the Duke Startup Challenge events lead, and he's the brains behind the elevator pitch competition this year.
That was the fun. All right, guys, so we're going to run this basically using the same format we're going to do in the actual competition, minus the cash prizes. So there's 13 teams that are going to present tonight that are listed in your program in the order that they're presenting. Each team will pitch for 2 minutes Stephanie, who's also on the events team, is going to be timing. We'll give you a 15-second kind of wave, and we're going to kind of hold you to a hard stop just to get you guys ready for the actual competition. Then we'll have 3 minutes of feedback from the judges. So that's something that's different tonight. In the actual competition, those 3 minutes will be Q&A, them asking clarifying questions about your idea. Tonight, it's going to be more about helping you improve your pitch for the competition. So maybe I'll let the judges introduce themselves.
Hi everyone, I'm Jonathan Gindes. I graduated from Fuqua in 2003. My background is in finance, and I went on to start a biotech company. So if I could impart any wisdom, it's don't be scared about doing something a little different.
Hi, I'm Jed Carlson. I'm a Fuqua 2005 graduate. I'm co-founder and COO of Reverbnation.com, a site that helps independent bands become successful on the internet. And I don't have any important advice to impart other than I'm happy to be here, and I'll be playing the role of Randy Jackson.
My name is David Pierson, and looking around, I see for the first time I am the oldest person in a lecture hall at Fuqua. This is not good, Howie. I'm a 1992 graduate of the daytime MBA program here at Fuqua. Spent 13 years in pharmaceuticals, ran a couple of billion-dollar-plus businesses. Joined Intersouth Partners about 4.5 years ago. I'm a partner in the life science practice there, making investments in biotech, medical device, and diagnostic businesses. So, hope can be helpful tonight with some help on your elevator pitches.
Let's give them a round of applause. So tonight there's actually a fourth judge, and that is you guys. We're trying something new, American Idol style text voting. So at the end of the competition, we'll put a list of the different companies that pitched, and there'll be a code that you can text your vote. So we'll clarify that. But yeah, tonight you guys are key. There's also feedback forms. So again, this night is to help people who are pitching prepare for the elevator pitch competition. So you each should have about 13 feedback forms. Is anybody missing forms? You guys good? Okay. Well, so we'll leave some time after each pitch for you guys to write some comments. And then the participants can collect those at the end of the night. So that's it. That's how it's going to work. Are there any questions? All right, so let's get started. Duke Craigslist, you're up first.
Hello everyone, my name is Min Kim. I represent Duke Craigslist, which is obviously a working title. I'm a junior undergrad engineering major in prep school engineering. Our idea is pretty simple. We want to build a website that can enable Duke students to easily trade textbooks or used furniture online, just like Craigslist, but specific to Duke. So that is actually my case. I spent about I actually spent $700 on textbook this beginning of semester, and $500 is about average. And I only get back about $150 to $200 at the end of the semester when I sell it back to the textbook store. So I wanted to fix that. I don't want to use too much money on that. So I actually try to look for other solutions like Amazon, a ULoop or Duke List, or I even tried the Duke textbook store used book classified ads. But it turns out it's not really easy to use, and you also have to deal with all these shipping and handling, which is not always an easy solution. So actually, our website will be actually designed specifically for Duke use. We are actually conducting some primary market research at this point. We have about 8 members, all undergrads. So the pace is not as fast as I want it to be, but it's pretty laid back. But still, we have an agenda to get the website up and running until next January. So that's it.
Sure, I'll start with, yeah, why don't you stand up front? It's always hardest going first, but maybe a couple of suggestions. I would probably try to focus on looking at the judges just a little bit more in terms of getting feedback. I know it's confusing maybe who to look to, but just I might try that. Some other high-level suggestions, maybe explain what type of, how are you going to get a lot of eyeballs on your site? Meaning some Craigslist works because of the critical mass it has, and you mentioned you had a slower uptake, so what are you going to do to create a large uptake?
We actually have some plans for that. As an undergrad, we have a lot of advantage over other undergrad people. So we are thinking about using a very low budget but effective ways of advertising. For example, like free t-shirt handouts. Undergrads loved free t-shirt handouts.
So we don't run out of time, let me just we'll share feedback. I don't know if it's going to be a Q&A tonight, because we'll run out of time. And then I think the first question I had was, why can a local Craigslist portal solve these needs? So maybe think about, there's probably a good reason why it can't, but think about trying to convey that real early on in your elevator pitch.
So, how much? I'll try to keep it kind of brief as well, but nice job for going first. We empathize with having to be put on the spot like that. The notes I have were I wasn't able to take away what your business model is and how you guys make money, if it's on every transaction or a listing fee. I didn't really understand that. I don't know how important that is. And then the other note I wrote down was, do you need to raise money to do this idea at all? And think about, think about maybe this is something that could be started without any capital injection, which might be the way to go, but that was my feedback.
So as not to repeat anything that's gone before, there were a bunch of things I did like. You introduced yourself, you gave me a brief, sentence about what your concept is, and you had a nice metaphor. It's like Craigslist. That's easy for me to remember, and I can visualize what you're trying to do. So as I walk away from the conversation, that'll stick with me. You covered problem, solution. You didn't brag about your team very much. You did tell me who your team was, but you didn't tell me what special skills are represented on your team that should get me excited about the group of you. And then you didn't tell me why you were talking to me about this. You didn't say, I'm getting ready to raise a round of capital, I'm looking for seed funding in the amount of X. And then the last thing I would look for is a call to action. Dave, can you introduce me to so-and-so, or do you have time for a lunch in the next couple of weeks, something like that.
Thank you.
Will the audience members take a minute to fill out the feedback form? Meanwhile, 25th Hour Media is next.
Encouragement for them to fill out their feedback forms, just in terms of finding them. Hey everybody, just so you know, so if you aren't familiar with this, there's feedback forms here. Please take a minute right now. These are going to go to Min Kim and to the other presenters. We're going to have a minute after each pitch, so please take some time to fill these out. They should be signed near you, and thanks a lot.
All right, let's hear 25th Hour Media.
Hi, my name is Nick Sain. I'm a first year at Fuqua. So imagine you're in your car, you're on your way to work, you're stuck in rush hour traffic, you still got 30 minutes to go. You've already flipped through all of the irritating morning radio shows, and you're sick of the CDs in your car. You know once you get to work that you're probably going to spend 30 minutes kind of reading the latest posts and articles on your favorite blogs and news sites. Now, if only you had that content available to you in a safe and convenient way on your drive, on your morning commute. The concept behind 25th Hour Media is a solution to this problem by taking the text content that you select from your blogs and news sites, turning it into audio podcasts using a human voice, and delivering that straight to your mobile device. Our service has three main foundations. The first is personalization and allowing you to select the content that you want to hear about. The second is high-quality audio by creating podcasts using a real human voice that provides an engaging listening environment. And the third is accessibility and giving you access to your news when you want it, by either downloading or streaming that to any iPhone, BlackBerry, or Android device. Of these three foundations, our biggest core differentiator is using a real human voice to create podcasts. While there exists many different technology solutions in the text-to-speech space that converts text to audio, none of these provide an enjoyable listening environment. We believe that our high-quality audio advantage will attract listeners to our service and allow us to create a profitable revenue stream from that using embedded advertising that is targeted to the content and the user. So at 25th Hour Media, we focus on three things: personalization, quality, and accessibility. Thanks.
Thank you, Nick. Please fill out the feedback form for Nick while we hear from the judges.
Really nice job, Nick. I thought you did a good job conveying this. The overall business model sounded pretty interesting to me. I would have liked you to get into it shorten up the story at the beginning so I could hear more about the business. I thought the story was good, but find a way maybe to shorten it a little bit because of the length of the elevator pitch. Maybe I could see a real nice benefit of this overall is people get into car accidents looking on their phone. There's so many new laws coming into play. It just struck me immediately that, boy, this is a great way for people to do all this stuff and it's safer. So there might be a safety angle with this type of technology that's kind of with the headwinds in society now. But I thought you did a real nice job. Tell us more about what kind of funding you need or what your timelines look like, just some maybe high-level concepts when you're going to launch the first version. But real nice job.
Yeah, I thought that was really good, Nick. And not to overemphasize what was already said, but the story, I agree, it could have been a little shorter, and the business could have been discussed a little bit more. I think also, and maybe you didn't have the ability to do this here, but in the real world, if you're getting a pitch, maybe actually playing one of these, obviously would be something really powerful. I think if it were, a New York Times post from this morning and you were playing it with a real human voice, it would give me that sense of understanding what this could be. Also, I think that you sort of at the very end kind of talked about the revenue model by targeted advertising in the audio, and I think I would have loved to have heard a little bit more about that. But again, you've got 2 minutes, so.
We don't have it figured out.
Yeah, and I think it's okay to say that too. I mean, you kind of said it, but I think it's okay to say we're not quite sure. Yeah. But it's going to be an ad-supported model in some way, and maybe talk it through. But real nice job.
Yeah, I thought it came across really naturally. You were obviously well rehearsed, but it was natural. It wasn't forced, and that's really important that you're not nervous when you're getting it across. I thought a lot of it was very well done. I got a little bit confused when you were going through the problem and the solution, and maybe that's because I'm a life science guy, but maybe it was a little bit long in that section. I didn't hear anything about team.
Right.
So you didn't brag about anybody that I should get excited about backing, potentially. And then there wasn't a reason why you were talking to me, and if you need me to do anything for you, again. So.
Thanks.
All right, so up next is Micro Consulting for North Carolina. While he's getting up there, a couple things. Go ahead and fill out the feedback form. And if you're standing back there are plenty of seats. So come on in. There's no pizza left, but there are seats. There's plenty of seats up here for you guys. So come on in. All right, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Mike Adams, and I'm here on behalf of Micro Consulting for North Carolina. Our mission is to match volunteer student consultants to local nonprofits and help them solve small but important technical problems that they face. So we actually offer several services: startup services, web design, grant writing, data management, accounting, and research. There are actually over 5,000 nonprofits in the Triangle area and surrounding community alone. And especially in times like these, they face incredible resource constraints. Even smaller startup nonprofits have serious issues because they can't afford to have external consultants come in to solve their IT infrastructure or just kind of technical infrastructure needs. This is where micro consulting can really make a big difference. We can come in and with our technical administrative help, we can actually allow them to focus on their organizational priorities. There actually are a variety of volunteer match organizations out there. However, they tend to focus in one of two areas. They match people to short-term and relatively unskilled volunteer labor opportunities, or they match skilled labor to long-term commitment volunteer opportunities. However, not every problem is a long-term problem, and not many people have that amount of time. And so this is where micro-consulting really can come in and make a difference. We focus on short-term skilled labor opportunities. So our student consultants come in for free, they do the work in about a month, they solve the problem, and they try to teach the organization how to solve similar technical problems on their own. And if you think about it, by solving so many micro problems, we can make a macro impact on our community. So this is actually our website, www.mcforense.org. We're live, we're happening, we've got some clients, so please visit our website.
Nice job. It certainly sounds like an interesting business to get involved in. What I would want to know a little bit more about would be how other nonprofit resources locally do or don't overlap with the services you want to provide. There's a group called SBTDC. There's a Council for Entrepreneurial Development. So maybe just highlight the things they do or what you would do that they don't do. So there's not too much similarity seen. You touched on it briefly around student help, but maybe share about the people that are going to staff these positions, whether they're captive consultants of the company, whether they're freelancers, how you're going to find them. I wasn't really clear where your staff were coming from. And then if an entity like this has been created in other states and it speaks to the success of this or in other countries, maybe share and highlight that for us also.
Nice job, Michael. So my feedback is that just on the visual presentation, I think this slide could be perhaps more powerful if it dealt with the problem, sort of a problem solution kind of visual, or maybe talking about the benefits more than just sort of the feature set kind of. I also, for some reason, and it might be that I just didn't hear you, I didn't realize that it was a nonprofit until towards the end of the presentation. So when you talked about it being unpaid, I was a little bit confused about how I was going to make money. I don't know if this makes any sense, but it felt a lot. I kept wanting to say the word interns, internship, kind of, and I know it's not exactly that, but that's what sort of it felt like was sort of an intern aggregation program, and you may be intentionally steering away from that word, but maybe you want to give some thought. Maybe it's the wrong word to use, but that's what it kept feeling like to me, was that you could help me find some interns that could do sort of some skilled things for my company. So just a suggestion.
I think I would echo most of the comment, or all of the comments actually. Consulting is all about human capital, and back to one of the original points, if you've got students involved in this network who are who previously worked for a consulting organization before they came here, and now they're going to do that part-time while they're here. That might bolster your case a little bit. Because again, it's all about the value of the human capital you got lined up, and I didn't hear anything about that. And then you got to figure out to do something with the hands. Not to do so much with the hands, because it distracts from what you're saying. But it was well thought out and structured well.
Veracity, you're up next. Let's give him a minute. Oh, a minute. Yeah. All right, go get him.
Hi, my name is Alex, and I'm here to represent a nonprofit student-led corporation called Veracity. We are a group of individuals who are passionate about social change. At Veracity, we are hungry for knowledge, we are eager for action, we crave cultural awareness, and we demand social justice in our community and in our world. Our mission is to reach out to Duke and UNC, Durham and Chapel Hill, to ask students and residents what social causes that they believe in and how Veracity can help. Because we serve to facilitate the social dialogue rather than control it, we encourage people to submit these designs for t-shirts that represent these causes. And every cause deserves recognition. Our t-shirt designs embody local, national, and international causes, from the hype to the obscure, from education in Durham to youth activism in Albania. Veracity also partners with nonprofit organizations to bring speakers and host events at Duke and UNC, while donating the profit from shirt sales to these organizations. Above all, we plan to educate students and residents about the stories behind each cause, so they can purchase a shirt, wear it, and share their knowledge with their friends. By doing so, Veracity can become the face of social consciousness across both campuses and both communities. Ultimately, as the number of sites that sell t-shirts supporting user-generated content increases, it has become clear that the market for community-created art is rapidly expanding. Veracity plans to take advantage of this relatively new venue by establishing a dynamic social network that will allow for the fusion of design and social justice online. Thus, Veracity plans to be an apparel venture that combines the entire world's passion for design with their hunger for social activism. We seek people who want to contribute to our goals and help build Veracity from the ground up. Thank you, and please support Veracity, where your community is our world.
Nice job. I really like the passion that you showed conveying that. I thought the name was excellent, and it quickly helped dial me into what I thought you were going to be a t-shirt company, and it dialed me in pretty quickly. So good job with that from a branding standpoint. Where I got a little confused is you have a lot of passion, but it seemed like it was passion for social action very broadly, as opposed to a specific topic. There's nothing wrong with that, but it was going to be easier for me to follow if you gave a couple examples, maybe of a social action movement that gained momentum and how you guys could help facilitate that. But I thought I heard a lot of passion, and it was hard for me to dial in without a specific social action focus, which is what I was expecting to hear around a given topic.
Nice job, Alex. I'll just echo the passion thing. That was really great. It came through the whole time. And again, I think I was a little bit unclear about the specifics of the business. It was a very impassioned sort of general overview of almost like a mission statement, which was great, but it left off the specifics about the business. One thing in particular I kept wondering was the distribution process for this, and you kind of outlined Durham and Chapel Hill, and then you touched on nonprofits, and it made me wonder if that's where your distribution could come from, is partnering with these nonprofits to sell these t-shirts on their sites and getting the word out that way. So that's just a suggestion, but some more specifics about the business would have been, I think, a better approach.
Yeah, I agree. I was a little bit lost on the business. You're very passionate, and you got really focused in on the social activism part, but I mean, I kind of glazed over as you went too much into the social activist part, and I'm a business person, so I want to understand what it is, what kind of business opportunity you're pitching to me. As a visual, I thought on the right-hand side, it's way too many words. You could figure out a way to do that where you capture the highlights without putting sentences up there, because part of my problem was I was listening to you, then I was looking up here, then I was listening to you, and I kind of lost track of what you were saying while I was trying to read this. So maybe a little work up here. But your delivery was very smooth, and you're really passionate about what you're doing. And passion and persistence are two of the key things that venture guys look for and people we invest in. So I like that part.
Thank you very much.
All right, Duke International is next. Go ahead.
Hello, I'm Wu Yong, a freshman undergrad, representing Duke International. And walking around Duke campus, you see a lot of Duke Internationals nowadays. It's partially because many students, especially from China and Korea and Singapore, are mad about applying to college in the US. And it's a fact. So these students study SAT, and these students enroll and participated in many competitions that would beautify their college applications. So these students, while compared to the United States, in contrast to the United States, there are fewer opportunities in these countries like China and Korea, and these students are even greedy. They want competitions held by and directed by and organized by a renowned institution. So one instance, one of my friends even bought a plane ticket to the United States to participate in a competition held in the United States rather than one in Korea. So that being said, I thought as a Duke student, I thought I could cooperate with DSC and actually make a competition, like a business competition or a mock trial competition in Korea, in China, and in Singapore. So yeah, through this competition, yeah, I thought I could gain many profit because there's a very high demand and there's a very comparatively low supply. And because in those countries at the events, there's well, in those countries, many people participate. Oh, sorry, can I do it again? No? Sorry.
Yeah, don't worry. This is just practice. That's why everyone's coming out here tonight. I like the story you were conveying early on. It's certainly not something I appreciated. It didn't as much sound like a likely business venture as more like a way to help the admissions office not get fooled by fraudulent applications. So you might want to convey the underlying components of why this is a good business if you think it is, because that didn't come across to me clearly. Obviously, maybe some upgraded graphics, for next time. I think that's something you can work on. But interesting topic I wasn't familiar with, but I couldn't really connect why this was a business opportunity or what you brought to bear to be able to turn it into a business opportunity.
Wu? Is it Wu?
Wu, yeah.
Here we go. You are a really likable guy. I will tell you that. It was I was listening very carefully to your entire presentation, but I think I still am not even clear exactly what you are proposing.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think what it is you sort of want to export the Duke brand to some competitions in Asia. Is that
quite, but yeah, kind of.
So I was really confused, and I was confused, and I couldn't really follow I don't know even what to suggest exactly, other than maybe practice it with some folks and make sure that the information is coming across clearly.
So I wouldn't have the guts to do a elevator pitch in a second language, so kudos for that, believe me. The name you selected is not very descriptive, so if you could do something that creates a visual for your audience, that would help, I think, on the slide. And then the earlier comments about something more descriptive, I think you might have thrown this together at the last minute, I don't know, but I agree with, you took a long time up front walking through kind of the concept and the problem solution were kind of mixed together, where you really need to separate those more crisply. If you could say in one sentence what your concept is for the business and how you're going to make money, then move on to this is the problem, this is my solution, this is why I'm the guy to solve it for you, and here's why I'm talking to you and what I'm going to ask you to do for me. Very crisply, you'd be spot on.
I'll prepare fully next time.
All right, let's take a minute and finish filling out the feedback forms to help him improve. All right, next up is Token Energy.
Hi, my name is Andrew LeBlanc, and I'm here representing Token Energy. We're a venture of students from Duke, UNC, and Chapel Hill, and we're developing software that displays to dorm residents exactly how much energy their dorm is using. The purpose of displaying this information is to build a strong correlation in their minds between their behavior and the energy consumption of the dorm, and also to allow us to provide incentives for them to save energy. For example, this is a slide that we're displaying that shows a competition between two dorms at NC State. We've convinced student government there to put up a $500 prize to whichever dorm can reduce energy the most. We provide value to the university by improving awareness of sustainability issues and saving the university money on their electricity bill because of the reduced electricity consumption. They invest in this software in order to make money back on reduced electricity consumption. Where we really have our strong advantage over our competition is in our design, which is really focused on displaying the information clearly in order to drive a very strong behavioral change in the students. Currently, we're developing prototypes at Duke, NC State, and Chapel Hill, and in the spring and summer, we'll be looking for funding to really develop this as a full-fledged business. Thank you.
Andrew, nice job. I really like this concept also. It sounded like a good way to drive some positive benefits for society. I didn't come away clear exactly if you were, what aspect of the business you were building, meaning did you have a special tool to calculate energy use? Was it a display using someone else's tool? Was it just a forum to drive this because the idea was creative to create a competition? So that broadly speaking, the topic was really interesting to me, but I couldn't come away clearly with the angle of this that you guys were getting involved with or bringing something special to the table. But certainly heard a lot of potential. I thought overall the pitch was conveyed nicely. I liked the graphic a lot. I think that was easy for me to understand. Sounded like something the users could understand, so it was pretty clear and simple, so nice job.
Yeah, nice job, Andrew. I'm very much in the same camp as Jonathan here. I think that the idea is captivating right out of the gate. I just finished reading a book called Nudge, and in that book is a case study about how well doing this actually works. So I was immediately on board with the concept. But the specifics of of how you guys were, what your role was in the business. Like Jonathan said, are you making a product? You're sort of focused on universities. Why are you focused on universities? How are you going to handle it when the power companies put the same product out? Why you guys, and you didn't talk about your team necessarily. So kind of all the business, sort of the business case questions. I think the problem solution you handled really, really well. And I bought hook, line, and sinker on that, but I didn't really understand the business for you.
Yeah, Andrew, I thought it was really well done. It was very well crafted. Your delivery was smooth. It was a little rushed because you were a little nervous, so just practice until you're blue in the face, and then you'll actually be able to slow down. I thought you hit all the basic components, and you did it very crisply. It was easy for me, as I kept track mentally, that you hit all the various components of a really good elevator pitch. And you're the first one so far who has told me why you're talking to me. Because you mentioned at the very end that, next fall or spring or whatever, you're going to be out looking for money. You didn't ask me to get involved, which would have covered all the bases. So I would add that. But otherwise, I thought it was very well done.
Please finish up giving some comments for Token Energy. All right, next up is iLife 123 Homenet.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Miyu. I'm here representing iLife 123 Homenet. The U.S. government plans to deploy 40 million smart meters in American homes within 2 years. Actually, we are thinking about the next step. We are offering smart meter per device. Basically, our first product is a low-cost wireless smart meter that monitors the power consumption of each individual appliance in a household. Our meter can be attached to any existing appliance without any configurations. You just plug your TV into the meter and it starts recording the power consumption of your TV. And the data will be transmitted to our internet server. A user can then access the power consumption history of all her devices from our website, either through the browser or the smartphone applications. We provide energy-saving advices for users based on their individual behaviors. And we provide gadgets that allow users to share information like how much energy I have saved with their friends and families through social network websites. Currently, we have a functional prototype, and we are collaborating with manufacturers in China to bring this product to the market quickly. Our long-term goal is to become a provider of smart home solution that enables smart home devices from all vendors to seamlessly connect to a customer's home network. So our team is advised by the director of Duke's Smart Home program, and our teams include PhD students, researchers, engineers, and others. Yeah.
Nice job. I certainly like the theme again of monitoring usage like the last pitch. I didn't come away clear exactly if you were going to sell a device to the end user, who the customer was. So I wasn't clear if you're going to work to put something already into a refrigerator or if the customer was going to add it on top of their existing refrigerator, or it might be both. So I had a hard time understanding some more specifics of the business model. I like the overall concept of it. Maybe some examples you might want to share about how you were going to help decrease energy usage once it was monitored would be helpful. And then again, what your needs are for capital, how close you are to a prototype, because we heard some very specific components of your business.
Thank you.
Really nice job. I like the concept as well. I think I found your oral presentation to be much more compelling than your slide. I thought your slide was somewhat confusing to me. It had a lot going on. And so when I was looking away and just watching you, I think I was having a more compelling experience with it. And I don't really know what specifically to tell you, except that there's kind of a lot going on your slide. I also think that you should, I think, consider perhaps a different name for the product. It doesn't really convey what it does, and it's long, and it's almost felt like an Apple product, iLife 1, 2, 3. So I didn't really understand what that was. And also, it looks like you have a very strong team, just by what I'm reading in print there. And somehow find a way to bubble that up, maybe earlier on, and focus on it, because I think it's a real strength.
Okay, thank you.
I would echo those comments, and I agree. I had a little bit of trouble understanding what your exact business concept was and how you're going to make money. I mean, who's the customer going to be and exactly what it is you're selling. You did get to a nice crisp concept statement, but it was buried pretty well into the presentation. And with an elevator pitch, you want to hit someone right square between the eyes with your concept right out of the gate. You went into problem solution first, and then came back around to concept, which made it a little bit confusing for me, and maybe switching those might work. And then you were hanging on this visual, so you didn't make eye contact with us. You were presenting your chart. You were reading off your chart. So, but you know it cold. That was clear to me by the command you demonstrated. So, don't worry about it. Forget about it, and pay attention to your audience. And otherwise, well done.
I had a general piece of feedback just off those comments, maybe for everyone. The competition is somewhat artificial in that in real life, when you give an elevator pitch, nobody has a slide that's off to the left of their head. So what you want to do, and I think you're hearing this from us, is be able to convey your business single-handedly by yourself, because that's going to be everywhere outside of this competition where the elevator pitch is going to help you. And when we're listening to people speak and we don't follow fully, then we immediately look at their chart. But in real life, when someone doesn't follow you, they're going to turn off and they're not going to listen anymore. So everyone should maybe try as best as can to, you shouldn't even need the slide to convey the message of your company, and then certainly use the slide as an extra, but make sure you can convey it without the slide.
All right, please take a moment and finish up giving some feedback. All right, up next we have cell seeding technology.
Hi everyone, my name is Garrett Muramoto. I'm a first-year student here at Fuqua, and I want to tell you a little bit about cell seeding technology. So cardiovascular disease is the #1 cause of death in the United States every year. And every year, more and more implantable cardiac devices are being deployed to support patients with chronic heart disease. Cell seeding technology is developing technology that allows us to coat medical devices, pumps, and stents and heart pumps with the patient's own cells taken from a simple sample of blood. Cell seeding creates a biocompatible medical device that we can implant, and it will increase the efficacy, longevity, and biocompatibility of that device. This will reduce the incidence of of implant failure and serious side effects, including heart attack, stroke, and death, which can result when the clots in these devices break loose and can get lodged in the heart or in the brain. I'm sorry, this isn't my slide. We're currently working on several milestones. We just had the provisional patent approved to cover a lot of the technology related to cell seeding, and we have received a $1 million NIH challenge grant that's going to help us cover a lot of the preclinical studies. We have a great team assembled from both from the Pratt School of Engineering, the medical school, and Fuqua. And we're looking to develop a business plan and do a complete market analysis. And David, we could use about $200,000 to develop our catheter delivery device. We really believe that cell seeding technology is going to revolutionize the way that we deploy implantable cardiac devices, and I look forward to your comments on the presentation. Thank you.
Nice job, Garrett. Good. Don't worry. That's what we're here to practice. Yeah. So I would try to convey a little more depth about, in a life science company, what's special about the technology. You talked to me about it earlier when we chatted, but in life sciences, it's what's proprietary. Is it a process? Is it a sequence? Try to convey to the audience what makes it unique, because there is something unique here from us talking earlier. I like how you shared the information about the government grant. And again, you told me earlier that you got a score which was in like the 1th percentile. So that's pretty special, and I'd make sure to convey that to the audience, because that's going to get someone to think a little extra on it. And then maybe share what the key milestones are that you're working on for the next year or two, and that's always important in a life science company.
Thanks.
Nice job, Garrett. I don't know anything about life sciences, so I'm totally unqualified on that front, but I can say that I felt like you have a really strong potential company here, just based on what you've laid on the slide. But a lot of the best stuff was buried too far down in the presentation. I mean, you should be screaming all-star team, special NIH grant, whatever it is that Jonathan said about some top 1th percentile. Those are the things I think that you should be leading with, that you've got this very special thing going on, and then tell me what it is after you've told me the cast of characters that are going to bring it about. That'll be my advice.
I liked your statement of the problem. It was very crisp. You gave excellent proof of why you guys can solve the problem. Really liked that. I would like to echo the comments about team. That was fantastic. Your delivery was good. I mean, the only thing that was lacking for me was a little bit of focus. So when you talk about that coats medical devices, for example, heart pumps, stents, etc., heart pumps and stents are really broadly different businesses. And it would be more effective if you could focus in, on a narrower slice of the market where you've got some capacity or some skill set, instead of trying to be so broad or coming across as being overly broad.
My teammate Evan wins $10 for that comment. We were debating where to go. Thank you very much.
All right, up next is Medici Medical Technologies.
I'm Joe Nida. When I talk to you a little bit about Medici MedTech and our new technology to help treat urinary incontinence, which is actually a large unmet need with over 50 million people affected worldwide. And in spite of the $20 billion that's spent each year in the US alone, there's still over 300,000 women that have sought and failed all current treatments. And this graph gives a depiction of some of those different treatments. And you can see that they're all to the left and to the bottom, showing that no device out there provides both control of giving the patient control of their bladder while also still being convenient. We see that plugs, while offering a lot of control, are not very convenient because they have to be exchanged every time the patient actually goes to the bathroom. Diapers are something where it's a lifestyle change where the patient has just completely given up on the possibility of controlling their own bladder. There are some surgical procedures such as pumps and slings and other types of bulking agents, and once you get through the surgery, these can be more convenient, but they still have failure rates upwards of 50%. So clearly, current treatments for urinary incontinence do not effectively meet this need. Working with physicians at Stanford, we've come up with a patent pending technology that actually has a high level of control for the patient, as well as it's very convenient for the patient. And you can see that technology depicted in the upper right-hand corner. And what it is a simple yet elegant series of valves that the patient can control naturally by the amount of pressure that they put if they keep a pressure over a short period of time, usually 2 to 3 seconds, it will allow the to go without having but if there's a high pressure over a short period of time, then it won't overpower the valve.
So I definitely came away understanding that you know the existing technologies and why they don't work, but I think you need to condense those to be a smaller piece of the elevator pitch.
Right, absolutely.
And probably spend 80% of your elevator pitch on your specific technology. The graph, I think, does fine, but explain me exactly how your technology works. How it's implanted is pretty important. How invasive is the implantation procedure? I really wasn't clear on that. Why it's special, maybe how it enables the patient to have much more freedom, how effective it is, what stage of development you are at in developing it. Do you have a drawing or do you have a prototype? Has it been tested in animals, which I guess might be tricky? Has it been tested in humans? So stage of development is pretty important. And just really try to spend a bit more time explaining the underlying properties of the device and why it's special.
So nice job, and I'm going to echo everything Jonathan said, obviously. But the only thing for me was I didn't hear a lot about the team, other than working with doctors at Stanford. But it was kind of in passing, such that it almost made me think that you didn't think your team was necessarily that strong. And so I think calling attention to who was actually going to put this product out there and who was going to be behind the company would have been helpful. But nice job.
Yeah, I thought your delivery was really smooth, so you clearly know your material well and rehearsed appropriately. You did tend to rely on this a little bit,
Okay.
and when you would look up there, then I looked up there. And so try not to lean on this. And I liked the way that you described the concept, and I really liked the way you were very descriptive when you said control with convenience, because that, after you talked about incontinence, it was a very graphic or descriptive way to hit me with a metaphor for what you're doing. But then when you got to describing your technology solution, you tripped all over it.
Right, right.
And so you're going to have to rehearse that, because you probably do have something here, but I came away not knowing what it is.
Right.
Right. It caught my attention when you said Stanford. My well-honed VC ears just went bing. But you left me wanting more. So I was hoping you were going to say, who the name of the researcher was. He's an accomplished guy in the field of urinary incontinence who's got, 35 patents to his name. Something like that would be real meat for the audience. So.
Right. Thank you.
And once again, please take a minute and give Joe some feedback. All right, up next is Methane Cap.
Good evening, guys. I am going to spend the next couple minutes talking to you all about pig waste. Hog farms in North Carolina generate an estimated 3.2 million tons of CO2 equivalent greenhouse gases in North Carolina alone. That's estimated from NC State. Now, it's methane is what's actually being emitted, but just to put that into perspective for you, an average car on the road generates about 5 tons a year. So this is a big problem in North Carolina, and our company has found a solution for that. Our technology not only captures this methane gas that the owner of the technology can then sell as offsets to offset aggregators or companies directly, but the technology actually converts that methane gas to electricity that can be sold back to utility companies. Now, in addition to those benefits, the technology also, as you could imagine, improves the environment around the farm. It minimizes the odor, improves the health of not only the animals, but the farmers that live in and around the farming community. So this technology really could make a big difference to a lot of people in North Carolina. The technology has been built, it has been tested, it has been proven, it works. And right now we've received 2 grants. We're looking for additional funding that we could use to put into R&D to further lower the cost of some key components that would further make the cost benefit even more compelling to the farmer. So that's our technology. Thank you very much.
Nice job. I was able to follow the whole pitch really without looking at your slide. I think you did a good job describing it. So keep improving on that, but good starting point. I got more focused on the problem of methane gas than what you guys had to actually fix it. It sounded like you had an interesting solution, and maybe hog waste is a good spot for it, but I wondered if, I was quickly thinking, well, is this the best spot to fix the methane waste problem? Did your product only apply to hog waste, or did it apply to any kind of methane waste? So I didn't come away clear on that. Hog waste might be the best one, but it was hard for me to pick that up. And then if there's some kind of estimate that you could provide where a hog farmer could cover 1% or 50% of their costs through using this device or reselling back in the credits, just some magnitude that would help somebody understand it better, or that it would pay for your system in 6 months or 5 years, or some kind of a metric financially, I think would help convey a point that someone could walk away with.
Nice job. Pretty compelling idea. The thing I so badly wanted to know how it worked. I wanted, a picture of I'm trying to picture in my head, is this like, an umbrella over the hog farm or something that captures this stuff? I couldn't understand. I wanted to know how it worked. And I agree with Jonathan that you did a really nice job of setting out the problem and the magnitude of it, but you might have spent almost too much time on that. Most of the people you're going to be pitching to probably have a pretty good understanding that hog farming is a big industry, and that there's a lot of gas put off. I think you could kind of stop your explanation a little bit earlier. And then at the end, you kind of laid out the 2 grants and where you are at in the development. And it took me a little bit by surprise. I would have liked to have heard that a little bit earlier in the process to understand where you're at. Until that point, I thought it was something you guys had invented on paper, but hadn't really gotten very far with. Make sense?
Yep.
Again, I thought your delivery was good. You were smooth. You weren't depending on the slide. You were making eye contact with us. But I have to agree. I don't know what the technology is. You kept referring to the technology, but you didn't actually come out and tell me what it is. So I'm still at a loss for what it is you're selling, and then what your business model is for making money from that piece of technology. Is it something? Is an apparatus that you're selling to the customer, and the customer is the farmer? How does that equation work? And you could probably address that in 2 sentences. Would be real helpful. I thought it was great that you had grants, because that lends some credibility. You could give me just a little bit more about the grants, maybe the magnitude and who they're from. And then my sense is that there are already technologies out there for methane capture. So I kept thinking to myself, well, I've heard this before. How are you different?
Okay. All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, up next is Intelligent Irrigation Solutions.
So water costs money, a lot of it. To irrigate 1 acre of land takes about $900 worth of water a year. Intelligent irrigation actually can save the amount of water needed. Case studies have shown that advanced water management techniques can reduce water consumption by about 40%. Therefore, intelligent irrigation saves you money, and a lot of it. I founded Intelligent Irrigation Solutions, LLC, to sell the products I developed trying to make my own lawn grow during a drought a couple of years ago in North Carolina. But I realized that others could really benefit from these products. The products, there's 3 of them. The first one is a data system. Using a web-based service, we'll take weather forecasts, combine it with a detailed model of how plants use water in their normal life cycle, and give you a 3 to 7 day forecast of how much water you'll need in your landscape. The second product builds on the first, and it's a set of wireless soil moisture sensors. Bury these in the ground. They'll work together and give you much more information about your specific landscape, and again, how much water you'll need to replace, trim it up, make it more efficient, save you money. The third product is a control system. Based on the first 2, this hardware device will take the information and water exactly as much as needed, when it's needed, saving you money and allowing you to spend your time worrying about other stuff. Our team has on board, we have a patent secured for that third product for the control system. We have the inventor of that patent, a professional electrical engineer. We have a Duke electrical engineering student, myself, MBA student, and agricultural equipment reseller. We need about $50K to get off the ground. We already have our product, and please visit us at intelligentirrigation.net.
Nice job. A couple things I definitely liked. I like hearing the pitch from the founder, and you made it clear that you were the founder, inventor of the company. Or that's the sense I got. I certainly like that piece. I like that you had visual aids, the products themselves. So already I got a real good feel that we were past the idea stage, at a prototype stage, or maybe you're already selling these products, and that was good to convey. That you were ready to go. If you are already selling the products and people are using them, I would convey that even further. I didn't pick up exactly the business model, who you were going to sell them through, if you were ready to sell them. And then the bigger open question I got left with was, how large is this market? It certainly sounded interesting and somewhat at a later stage than some other pitches we've heard, but can a venture investor make enough money in this space? Are you looking for angel investors because you know your capital needs are going to look different? So I might speak a little to the type of capital you want to raise and the size you think you can grow this business to.
I thought the story at the beginning was really great about how this idea came to you when you were experiencing the drought yourself and taking care of your lawn. I thought that really kind of brought it home and made it very tangible early on. So trying to come up with some other improvements that haven't been mentioned yet. Jonathan touched a little bit on what the market for this is, and I kept finding myself wondering, what does a system cost? How hard is it to install? And what are the distribution channels you're going to use? Is this a sell direct? Is this something you're going to try to distribute through Home Depot? Sort of similar stuff. And then what's the business model basically there, I think was the stuff I was left with. But really nice job, and I think the very beginning of the presentation was excellent.
Yeah, I thought you did a great job of the delivery. It's very smooth, very calm and confident. You clearly are passionate about it, and you know what you're talking about. You weren't dependent on this. You went through all the basic components very crisply. It was very easy for me to track with you what it was you were doing and why you were talking to me. I mean, beyond what's already been said, and I think you did it very well, I mean, the only thing I could recommend would be a little stronger call for action at the end. It was, visit my website. So if you actually said that to me at a conference, if we had 2 minutes together, I wouldn't visit your website after I walked away. You know, so maybe you could beef up the call for action somehow, but otherwise, very good.
Thank you. All right, guys, this is our last pitch. General Nano.
So carbon nanotubes are cylindrical carbon molecules that are stronger than steel, have a conductivity rate better than copper, and have a fraction of the weight. And until now, they've been just a theory. They are in labs, and scientists have been talking with each other about what to do with them. But they're so small, there hasn't been a process to be able to bond the nanotubes together to make any sort of tangible product that could be sold on the market. Now, General Nano has grown the longest carbon nanotubes in the world, almost 10 times longer than the current process. And the way that nanotubes are bonded with each other, length, it makes the difference. Length is the differentiating factor. And because of our length, we have patented the process to take those nanotubes and spin them into usable thread, yarn, which is thicker, and ribbon, which is flat. From our inventions, we are working with the Air Force through SBIR funding to look into replacing copper wire on fighter jets. So about 5,000 pounds of a fighter jet is in copper wire. So imagine the savings with our nanotubes, which are better conductors, at 20% of the weight. You have fuel savings and you have maneuverability advantages that come from our product. That's just one example that we can use. We are talking with Bose for acoustics. The nanotubes actually have telecommunications properties, textile, solar, biomedical, and construction. The options are pretty broad. So General Nano will be producing and distributing this product on a customizable basis across multiple industries. Currently, we are determining the best verticals and working through financing to scale the product. We're working with a team of engineers and Fuqua students to do both the lab work and the commercialization model. In a week and a half, I've been meeting with Katrine Bird at Intersouth, so Dave, I hope you can join us.
Nice job. I like that you described the technology, but it got described so early I didn't really understand why I should care. I kind of got to it in the second half of the pitch, but maybe early on explain me, like at least a sentence, why I should care that you could build long nanotubes, because I kept saying, well, why do I care that they can build long nanotubes? If you have any insights as to kind of cost and scalability, that's always a major concern when someone builds a new material in the lab. They do it once, they shout, they publish it in Science, and then when a manufacturing person comes along, they say, well, you can't manufacture this. So if you have some way that you think that's not going to be an issue, I would convey that early in an elevator pitch, because that's a general concern people have. You mentioned that you're still figuring out the right verticals, but maybe highlight what you think the major verticals are. You talked about them, maybe update them and put them on your slide. Maybe have half the slide for technology and half for the markets. But I thought you did a nice job.
Thanks.
Hey, nice job, Andrew. I found you to be very credible. I think it might have been the way you presented it. I did notice that you didn't introduce yourself at the beginning of the presentation. You kind of jumped right in, and I wanted to know who you were and why you were the one telling me about this technology. The other thing is, just to echo a little bit what Jonathan said, I feel like your slide could have been more useful if it summed up, this is, conducts electricity like copper wire only at 20% of the weight and some fraction of the cost. And then I found myself wondering again, can you manufacture capacity? SBIR grant could have been a little earlier in. I think the progress would have been better to hear earlier, and then a little bit more about the team. But overall, really, really, really good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I thought you did an excellent job. Right out of the gate, though, you didn't tell me who you are and what you are at General Nano. So you should introduce yourself. Nice job, I thought, with problem and solution, but then I've been exposed to a lot of Nano projects, so it registered with me. I thought it was really great validation when you talked about the project with the Air Force. So, you know, my attention started to wane a little bit, and when I heard that you had a signed project with the Air Force, that really caught my attention. And I thought you did a very nice job quickly describing what that was, the problem that you addressed for them, and the value that it represented. And that enabled me to understand and project it onto a lot of other opportunities. All of a sudden, I felt a lot more excited about, gee, here's what I might be able to do with this. And like I just did, you ran over. So practice a little bit more so you don't run over.
Sure.
But I thought you did a very nice job, very confident.
Thank you.
All right, guys, that was the final pitch. Let's give a round of applause for everybody who pitched. Great job. Really amazing. I can't wait for the real competition in a couple weeks. I wanted to give the judges an opportunity maybe just to make some general comments and just guidance in doing an elevator pitch for those participating.
One piece of guidance I'd share, David mentioned it earlier, just around passion. You will use the elevator pitch frequently to get people to spend more time with you for one reason or another. So those of you who can convey passion, that's generally someone that you'll want to spend time with. I know if someone tells me about their business and they're passionate, it suddenly excites me, even if the idea I didn't fully pick up. If they're passionate about it, I'm more likely to want to spend time with them. If someone's not passionate about their idea, I don't even hear their business. I just hear them saying, hey, this is okay, I'm looking for a job and I'm not really sure what to do next. So that's probably not true, but if you're not passionate about what you're doing, you can't expect others to be passionate about it. So find something you're passionate about and make sure you convey it when you find it.
Jed, you mind standing up? Oh, no, sorry. Overall, I thought it was excellent first, dry run. I think everybody's got a good base to work from. I think the nature of most of the comments fell into two categories: structure and then practice. And so I think that maybe David can speak to this a little bit, but there's a structure. He talks about ticking off the key points that he wants to hear from everybody. These structures for pitching are not a secret. You can read about them, find them. You don't need to deviate from that too much. Make sure you hit all the key points, and then practice till you're blue in the face, I think was the quote. You can't underestimate. This is your only chance to make a first impression with somebody that could be very important to your business. So stay up late and practice. Get up early and practice. Practice in your car. Practice with a friend. Give your pitch 100 times before you give it for the first time to somebody that matters, and you'll do great if you do that. So structure and practice, and of course passion.
I don't want to be formulaic, but let me address the part about the components that you should hit so that you can make sure you're covering most, if not all, of the key things that would be, a good hook. Because when you give an elevator pitch, to that person, you have to understand that person is hearing a lot of other elevator pitches before and after yours in the course of attending whatever conference or meeting. So in terms of items that I listen for attentively, I'm listening for you to introduce yourself and tell me how you're related to whatever it is you're going to talk to me about. Then I want the high concept, which is, one or two sentences. That is the 50,000-foot overview of what your project is about. And then if you can follow that up with a metaphor that serves as a memory aid for me, a catchy way to help me visualize what you're talking about, because you don't have any viz aids or anything, and a good way or a memorable way, something that's going to stick for me about what your project is. Then there's the definition of the problem, and then your solution. And it's more than just your technology solution, but it's it's proof of traction. It is going one better. So if you can offer me, results from a preclinical animal study or something like that, some kind of testing or some kind of validation like the Air Force project, where you've got, a signed pilot study, or you've got cash in through an TTR, SBIR, something like that. Proof of traction gets my attention because it's external, it's validation external to the person who's standing in front of me, and I really value that. Then the next thing I want to hear is your team. And it's not just a rote listing of who's on your team, but figure out or tell me who it is that's really credible in this space that is risking their reputation working on this project. That'll get my attention. So think hard about who among your group has something special that they've done related to that space, because venture capital is all about backing people. The most important thing I invest in is people, and what I want to hear is someone who's been successful. So, take a minute to brag about yourself or someone on your team who's had a success that is compelling, that relates to that space. And then, as I said a couple of times, tell me why you're talking to me about this. I mean, why should I care? Is it because you're looking for seed funding, or you're going to be doing a Series A round in 6 months? And then the call to action might sound trite, but Dave, we're going to be doing a Series A for $2 or $3 million in 6 months, and what I'd really like is a chance to come over and spend 30 minutes with you someday, going through a mini pitch deck and maybe get your comments on what we're trying to do. Something like that, a call to action that gets me involved beyond the point of, it makes me active as opposed to passively listening. So.
Let's give a round of applause. The World Series is on right now, and they're here giving us really valuable help. So thanks a lot, guys. So what's going to happen now is the judging. So I'm going to ask the judges to step out and huddle up and pick their favorite. And then you guys, it's time to try out this voting system. So the way it works is everybody can vote. Everybody can vote once. You use your cell phone. Let's try. Yeah. So here's the list of participants with their code. So you're texting this number 99503, and the message of your text is the number that corresponds to the company you want to vote for. Everybody got it? And if this thing works, it should magically update as you guys vote. Who's voted?
Yes. So usually they'll get where's your self.
Alright, this one's working.
Yeah. Show the results.
Take your time, guys. There we go. Alright.
Token energy. Token energy. Oh, the red. Token energy. Oh, the first material. Mine is the international. Hey, dude, mine inside. Yeah. Sending actions, man. Stupid. Oh, okay. Wait, receive it.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on, I thought you had some text. Oh, I didn't remember. Oh, okay, I can't. Let's do it again. I know I'm right. Yeah, I get Did they show up? You did show up. Yes, that's right. University.
So the guys are leaving. Leave your feedback forms just where you were sitting. Don't take them with you. Don't leave. There's not an announcement to leave. It's just saying, if you have to leave, go ahead. Please clean up after yourself. If you wait like 2 minutes, the judges will announce their winner.
Are you going on Monday? Yeah. I mean on Saturday.
Okay. I have a question for you guys. I guess obviously. Wonderful. So being advised by students that
I just saw it.
Yeah, you were supposed to.
Yeah, I know, but I wanted to try.
Yeah, we didn't stop you. We didn't think we'd have to, buddy.
I'm pretty sure it's
Oh yeah, from the one.
And we've got our meeting tomorrow.
Yes, I want you. Because I should
You were here.
I'm here just to show
How you get this space? Yeah, great. Huh? It's cool. It's called Home Everywhere. Home Everywhere, but it's a monthly thing. Basically, it's a monthly thing. All right, guys. If you haven't voted, please vote.
No, I mean, I want
All right, so we know the audience choice is General Nano. Congratulations. And the judge's choice is also General Nano. So it goes to the second choice, which is 25th Hour Media.
So the way that worked was basically the judge's choice and the audience choice was the same. So the second place judge's choice would then move on to the finals competition. So just before everybody leaves, thanks everybody for joining us. I know it's we ran a little bit over, but a lot of this was to help the teams that are going to be pitching kind of hone and refine their pitch. So part of that was obviously getting live feedback from judges, but the other thing was the written feedback that you guys have sort of been taking notes on during the session. So please either leave those just where you're sitting and we'll pick them up, or drop them off in the back with Howie, who has his hand up. So either one. But thank you for joining us this week, and then again next week there's two D's events. So join us for that.